podcast, the All Cure podcast. I'm Gavin, and we are coming at you weekly still for these Cure Euro Summer Festival 2026 shows. And we are hitting you up today with show number 5, show number 6, and show number 7. We held out a little longer this time so we could get you that Wednesday show in Cardiff. So we'll be looking at the PinkPop Festival, and we'll be looking at the Isle of Wight, and of course the Cure in Cardiff on June 24th, Wednesday. And as they're coming out in Ireland now for more shows, but we'll try to get you caught up with what has happened so far if you haven't been following along, or if you just want to reminisce, because they sounded like 3 banger of a shows for sure. And just on the top overall, band's looking great, sounding great, as to be expected but never taken for granted. Set list are getting a few more additions, working our way towards that magic 55 number that he disclosed, and lots of good shuffling around in the set list. I don't think we've had 2 shows that were totally identical yet, so lots of good shuffling around. The set list does seem to be getting some nice structure to it, where we can kind of predict where the new song, or predicting where the shuffle might come in the set list, much like in the 2023 tour. But still, on top of that, a lot of good little surprises in there, and more importantly, they're just sounding fucking great, super tight, and look like they're having a blast. And it looks like the festival's, it's impossible to really tell just from a live stream or reading setlist.fm, but it seems like the festivals in general have been a success, and a lot of them are sold out, if not all of them at this point. So doing great, guys. It's crazy to think that we're already 7 shows in, but also crazy to think that we're not even a third of the way through at this point. So there's plenty more festivals coming up, and as we'll see at the end of this run of shows here in this episode, the Cardiff will be the first that isn't an official festival. It's more of an official Cure show, non-festival show. So we get the first of those, with a few more on deck here, waiting to come around the corner. So what do you say? Let's dive in to the first show and see what the hell happened out in the Netherlands at the PinkPop Festival, June 20th, last Saturday. Was a lovely day here in Asheville, so hopefully it was nice out there in the Netherlands too for everybody. It looked like a nice sunny day. We got 23 songs from The Cure in this set, and this one was actually streamed, had a live stream video. The Cure hooked us up, I think, with the link. Maybe they sent it out in an email, but I couldn't really get anything out of it. It was like a blank email page, so I wasn't quite panicking, because I figured something would pop up, and sure enough, I found the link in the chat there. And Nicholas Hedges, thank you. You were the one that officially posted the link that I clicked on anyway, so thank you for posting that. As we said, whoever gets them, feel free to post these things, whether it's in a chat group that you're in or just on Facebook somewhere. And more on that later. Sometimes there's some decoys there that don't work out so good. So if you got something you think works, even if you just got a good hunch, go for it. Because I remember from the last one, I think it was the South American tour, there was a lot of, they started getting more kind of scammy and in some just dead end links, that look like they're going to work on YouTube in particular, and you click on it and then you have to subscribe to something or sign up for something, and it's just like, this is a scam. No way. But I'll appreciate it, even if it's a dead end lead. But thank you, Nicholas, because this one paid off real fast. Clicked on it, it popped up. So Saturday, on the personal level, we had gotten our boy back from fish camp, and he did great. Of course, there was nothing for me to be worried about, but I still was worried. But he had a wonderful time. Was the hit of the whole week. Apparently, all the counselors thought he was the greatest, and caught a ton of fish, had a blast, learned lots. So he was on cloud 9. But he was coming straight home on Friday evening, and then Saturday, his Rock Academy band, not his side project band that he's been playing a lot in right now and really enjoying, but this is more of the official classes that he takes. They do a showcase in the summer there, and they're doing it at the Orange Peel, which is like our biggest actual venue, you know, like where we saw Johnny Marr and Bob Dylan's played there and stuff. So a lot of big acts there. It was my crowning achievement when we got to play a show there at the Orange Peel way back when. So he's already surpassed me. Played there a few times with this Rock Academy. They just do a couple songs and then each class kind of goes up, and he technically did 5 with his group, but he got to sing 2 of the ones were his songs. Or not his songs, but songs where he was singing. And so he did Float On and a beautiful rendition of Boys Don't Cry that made me super proud. So we had to leave, though, is what I'm getting at. Once the stream started, about 5 songs in, I had to get him there for sound check. So I was like, oh, man. But, you know, family duty first. Your son's playing the Orange Peel. We'll catch the live stream later. But luckily, we were able to watch the first 5 songs before we left. And the 5th song might have been arguably the coolest highlight of this show. And we'll get to that when we run through the set list. So it was cool. I got to see the first 5. And once again, of course, the Cure Database Facebook page, or YouTube page, rather, has the full replay now, so just a couple days after they had it, and I believe it's still up. They might have had some kind of issue because it's a little weirder than normal, where it's like 30 seconds of Alone, and then you have to go to the description and click on the link through that, and it seems to work, and you can watch the whole thing, or else maybe it's everywhere by now. But I'll post a link too on our Facebook for this episode, but got to watch the full replay later. So it kicked off with Alone, so I saw the solid intro. Seems to be pretty stable for most of these shows. Alone, Pictures of You, High, and Love Song. Then we got that 5th song, which was the big surprise of the evening. We got Charlotte Sometimes making its tour debut, 42nd song to be added to the overall list of songs that they've played so far this year out of the projected 55 that Robert Smith said he felt good about. So 42 songs in at this point, and Charlotte Sometimes, of course, is a classic and sounded perfect. It sounded like they've been playing it every night since, you know, the early days. So no arguments there. Sounded really cool. Didn't really catch anything drastically different from it. You know, always has its own little flares to it, but for the most part, just sounded lovely. So very cool to hear Charlotte Sometimes added to the set. And that was followed by Burn, which was when we had to leave, which was like, okay, I've seen this live a billion times now, and especially live, not live. So we missed that. And then Fascination Street came on, and that's what had some footnotes added to it in hindsight afterwards, because I was reading some comments. People were like, what the fuck was up with Fascination Street? So apparently at this show, something got off when I watched the replay there. I only could really narrow it down to maybe something with the click track where Jason got off on that, or I don't know if anybody really got off on it, but it just wasn't synced up, and everybody was basically playing the right part, but it was just not like lined up right. And I guess it was just one of those things I'm sure they noticed. So it was because Robert had a big old grin on his face pretty early on through the song, and he had to kind of change the cadence and the way he was singing it a bit. Yeah, I guess he just couldn't really get out of it without it being a dramatic fuck up. So they just rode the wave, you know, and it reminded me of like when you're recording tracks actually, and then something just gets bumped, or I hit some fucking button in Logic or something, and I'm like, what the hell happened? Like everything's just shifted by like one beat or something. So that's why I think it was something that probably just got off with the click, and he had to stick with that while Simon was doing the bass line that they had to hang with. So it just was like a kind of a weird little shift in the cadence and the rhythm of it all. And, it still sounded fine, and it was actually kind of cooler because it sounded slightly different than what we've heard a billion times. So, they rolled with it like pros, of course, and I don't know. And then it was just funny. As soon as it was over, Robert said, "Well, you'll never hear it like that again, I hope." So something got off, but no one's calling anybody out or anything, I think. So just extra weird because if you remember at the end of last episode, we had the weird Fascination Street before that. I don't think that was like the show right before this. I think they had one in between where they didn't play it, but remember where he had the false start there in the opening time? It's opening time. So a little weird that we've had 2 glitches with Fascination Street in a row. Will this curse continue? Stay tuned. So then we continued on with a night like this and Push and In Between Days. So a little Head on the Door triplet there that sounded great. And then we had Just Like Heaven, into Last Day of Summer, which is still always a nice, noteworthy, not guaranteed one. That tends to be one of the ones that shuffles in and out, but for the most part, it's been pretty consistent this tour, which is pretty awesome. So great to hear Last Day of Summer sounding awesome, and A Forest after that. And the note on A Forest was cool because this one we got chatting about too, and Simon plays a cool little melody at the end when it ends after Robert's rock out part, and then Simon does a dun dun dun. Then he plays this cool little melody, but I didn't recognize what it was. Did you guys catch it? Is it something super obvious? Didn't sound like when he did the old Iron Maiden ones or something. I remember he threw a couple in at the end of last tour. To confirm what they were. So I don't know if he was just noodling around or what, but it sounded cool. It sounded very Cure-ish, like something that he would come up with. So maybe he was just making something up. If so, I hope he rolls with it because it was kind of cool. And then we got Into the Deep Green Sea from there into End Song. So that nice little duo continued. And I noticed more on this video watching the replay, Simon's new stance of holding the bass straight up, or up, but horizontal now during that opening part of that song. So that's pretty cool. Much like the pointing vertically up of the last tour. So then they ended the main set, of course, with End Song and came back with Lullaby, Wrong Number, The Walk. And then this just been pretty much the same solid encore set with some additions and removals. There hasn't really been too much variant in it, though. Did play the Love Cats, which is cool that one seems to be making the cut, even when they cut ones from the encore there. So Love Cats into Friday, I'm in Love, and Close to Me, which I just had noted had a lot of great smiles between Eden and Reeves and Simon, so they're all kind of grinning real good in that one. And Why Can't I Be You into Boys Don't Cry as the finale. So a solid set list, very cool. Definitely a bit trimmed down. I haven't pulled up the past ones, but 23 versus the original 29. So a good chunk with the curfews and just the different festival lengths of what they can do and what we can't. So as you could tell in this set list, it's more just missing ones here and there, like Mint Car. We didn't get Mint Car. We didn't get the Treasure or Trust combo that has been going on. Songs like Alt End, and of course Too Late is still missing. So after that debut, I think that's the only one we've heard Too Late so far. So encouraging for the people that are going to shows coming up, because that means it's bound to pop up again. But haven't heard it yet since. So a lot of cool rarities unfortunately were pulled from this one, but still a hell of a set list and very cool. So if you made your way out to the Netherlands for PinkPop, I think you would have had a hell of a time. So next night, we have the very next night. So no night off this time. This might be our first back-to-backs. And we had The Cure in the Isle of Wight Festival, going back to Newport, England for this one. So back on their home-ish turf there for Sunday night, June 21st. This one was also live streamed, but only in the UK. And unless you had some VPN knowledge and scoop and were able to dig around and do all that. So people were able to watch it. And again, this one does have a stream that's popped up again on the TC DB page. You can watch it much like the PinkPop one, and the same idea there. So I'll link to that. And I rewatched, I think, most of it. I don't know if I watched it all from start to finish for this one. No, I did actually. Late the other night I put it on. So yeah, that one was on Father's Day too. So we had kind of a full day plan. So I probably wouldn't have been able to really watch it anyway. I was definitely refreshing the setlist.fm, from spot to spot that we hopped around in. But we were out doing stuff. Got to go see Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theater again. So that was cool that a local theater was showing that. Not really sure why, but it was cool because I love that movie. And I'm not even sure if I've seen Raiders in the theater, actually, which is kind of mind-blowing for what a huge indie fan I am. I have a very vivid memory of as a kid going to see Temple of Doom opening weekend. But I think that was after having seen Raiders like a billion times on VHS. So I don't know if I ever got to see Raiders on a big screen. I don't have any real memory of that. So now I do. And it's just as great of a movie as it was way back when. So yeah, so it looked like the glitchy kind of stream from the first few that I did watch. People were saying it wasn't a very great stream from Sky to whatever. Maybe they were doing the VPN thing that wasn't working so good. But it sounded like a pretty awesome show as well. We had 27 songs, so a good chunk added back into it for this sold-out festival. And I don't know if I didn't catch any like Fascination Street style glitches or anything in these songs when I did rewatch it. Al, the Reeves guitar tech, had posted on Instagram, the longest day of the year, lived up to it, a tough gig, but we got through it. So not really sure who knows what that could mean, just getting there was tough. It could be stuff that wasn't even stage related that he's referring to, or he was just having a rough day, or who knows. But so it didn't show from my perspective all the way over here, and not being at the show sounded like they played a fucking great show and pulled it all off, more so than the one before even, if anything. But hopefully they've bounced back to whatever was troubling Al. And yeah, so slightly more condensed version of the Barcelona show, maybe, set list wise. We got the opening solid block of Alone, Pictures of You, High, Love Song again. So this time, not going into a new or a rotating one. It went into Burn. So we went to that progression there of Burn and then Fascination Street again. And from what I could gather, sounded way better, spot on. Fascination Street, Curse is Broken. So good job, guys. Started on the right time, got the rhythms all synced up, and everything's good again in the world of Fascination Street. So fear not if that's your favorite, and you're looking forward to it in an upcoming show. So then they went into A Night Like This, so another pretty standard one that always sounds great. Alt End followed that, so bringing that one back in that hadn't been played maybe in a couple festivals. Did it get played? I'm not sure at the last one that got played at, but Alt End is back in. Last Day of Summer there again. Push in between days into Just Like Heaven, and then Play for Today, which has been kind of a rotating one, but they get to do the combo there, Play for Today into A Forest. And then we got Trust back in it, so that one sounded really good. Of course, I can't take hearing that one for granted still, and really loving all the renditions we've heard so far of this one. And it's going into that from the Edge of the Deep Green Sea sequence of those two is really working good too. So so that sounds really good. And to love song into End Song. So Trust from the Edge of Deep Green Sea and End Song is sounding really fucking sweet. That trio there. So, and that ends the main set, of course, and then they come back on out for the pop finale there, but it's a long encore, so we're adding one back in on this one. We got Lullaby, Wrong Number, The Walk, Let's Go to Bed, Love Cats Again. Mint Carr is back in on this one, so they got that, and I'm loving hearing this semi-regularly, so hopefully that continues when they can and have the time of plugging that in. It'll be in there, much like 6 Different Ways on the last tour. That I liked hearing that in there fairly regularly in the different clips that we'll have by the end of all this. Hopefully will be some cool new tight Mint Car live clips. So Friday I'm in Love follows that, which is always a good combo of those two together too, much like Close to Me and Why Can't I Be You, into the finale of Boys Don't Cry. So again, very solid set list. No huge surprises or debuts for that one at the Isle of Wight. But again, the set list is proven to be pretty fucking solid all the way through. You're getting those nice little rarish gems like Alt Ends and Trust and Love Cats and Mint Car. All standout ones for me, and hopefully anyone in attendance there had a great time too. Again, a bit sad that Too Late is being elusive. I thought for sure it would have popped up for this one, but no, not the case. And still a very good, slightly condensed but not overly condensed set list. Again, credited to a curfew, I believe. So both of those have full show links, as I said, online. So check our Facebook page, or it's pretty easy just to type in Cure Isle of Wight Full Show 2026. But if you want to take the easy route, go to our Facebook page and I'll have links there for you. I recommend watching them at your leisure. So we move into our third show. As I said, I wanted to hold off so we could include Cardiff Wales show at the Black Wire Fields there in this batch here, because it was on a Wednesday. It's the first time we're breaking out of the weekend shows, so throwing off my schedule a little already, but for the most part had to include this one. Like I said, this is the first non-festival show of the tour. They just had Joy Formidable and Twilight Sad opening up, but of course in a giant field, very festival setup, kind of outdoor show. This took place on Wednesday, June 24th, and no live stream for this one. This was the one what I was referring to earlier in the chat there. There was a promising link for a minute. We all got excited, but it proved to be one of those ones. It's like, sign up for this and log in for this, and don't forget to send your credit card to this. And I was like, this is feeling a little scammy. I'm not doing this. So I hesitated sharing that one, and I'm glad I did. I was gonna wait till like the 0 second to see if something appeared, and sure enough, it didn't. So unfortunately, no live stream on that one, but already heaps of cool camera phone footage popping up all over YouTube, and I wouldn't be surprised if something else pops up more official of the whole show. I'll post anything noteworthy of that in the Facebook page as well. But yeah, June 24th, Wednesday, the Black Wire Fields, Cardiff, Wales, and sure enough, as big as we all were on this being the first non-festival show of the tour, it also got a giant red flag heat warning slapped on the day. It was looking to be a scorcher as you guys tough it out in the UK with this nasty heat blast. And so it was going to be hot as hell no matter what. But luckily, there was just 2 openers, Joy Formidable and Twilight Sad. So I'm sure all the diehards still wanted to get there early and hold their spot in that heat. But hopefully you didn't get overcooked out there. So we did hear from our buddy Allison. So before I dive into any thoughts, I wanted to make sure she got her full review in because she was there in the trenches like a trooper, sweating it out with all you guys that made it. Congrats. And sounded like a great fucking show once it kicked off. So I'm going to read what Allison wrote me here about the actual show. The Cardiff show was the last of the 5 UK standalone tour events to be announced back in October 2025. The Cure's appearance at the Isle of Wight festival had also been confirmed by this point, and a London show was still anticipated, although it was not meant to be. Cardiff still sold out quickly though, and back in late 2025, I think we were all anticipating our gig gear would include layers and raincoats. Fast forward to June 2026, and the UK is in the grip of a heat wave, which is also affecting many European countries. All the shows so far in continental Europe and the Isle of Wight have been warm affairs, and an amber weather warning for heat covering most of England and parts of Wales is issued a week before the gig. Then, 2 days before this, it's upgraded to a red warning of extreme heat, with only essential travel advised. But of course, travel to a Cure gig is essential. In fact, there is a lot of speculation that the gig might be canceled, but the organizers advise that more water can be taken in and shade will be provided. I traveled to Cardiff early in the day and fortunately was able to get an early check-in. We decided to take cold showers and go out a little later to avoid the fierce heat, meaning we entered the park around 5:30, hearing the Joy Formidable set as we walked in. I can't say I spotted much shade, but there were water refill stations available. We found a spot around 7 rows back and settled in to wait for the Twilight Sad. They performed a short set with a mixture of songs from the latest album and old favorites. They seemed to manage well in the heat, which was a good sign. The band changeover was efficient, and around 8:15 it was clear something was happening. Then we heard it, the unmistakable Plain Song chimes. Much as I love Alone, I had been secretly hoping for a Plain Song opener, so my summer was already made. The crowd gave them a huge welcome, and the next song was Pictures of You, followed by Hi, A Night Like This, Love Song, and The Last Day of Summer. I thought this was a brilliant opening segment, really well chosen songs, and the energy was high. They certainly weren't showing any signs of being overwhelmed by the heat. Next, we had a little doublet in Your House and Secrets to keep the diehard fans happy. And this segued into the high-energy triplet of Push, In Between Days, and Just Like Heaven, which got everybody moving and clapping. Next was a beautiful version of Treasure, then Want, Burn, very appropriately, A Forest, and Edge of the Deep Green Sea. And then another dream of mine came true. They played Prayers for Rain and Disintegration. It was just a brilliant, curated set with the Disintegration bookends, the fan favorites, and the deep cuts. Truly something to keep every type of fan happy. After the short break, we had the pop encore with the inclusion of Hot, Hot, Hot. Well, of course, it would have been rude not to play that. The band were maintaining the energy, and it was finally getting a little cooler. Everyone, including Robert, seemed to be having so much fun. However, as the park is in the city center, the curfew was a strict 10:30, so after the traditional Boys Don't Cry finale, the show was over. I felt as if Robert didn't want to leave the stage, and he walked up and down a couple of times before finally disappearing backstage. I was so delighted by this show from start to finish and can't think of anything I would have changed, except maybe the temperature. right. Thank you so much, Allison, for walking us through that and letting us live vicariously through you. Much appreciated. Damn, that sounded like a good show. Even with all the heat there, sweating with 35,000 other people. Can you believe that? I love that picture. There was like some kind of drone picture that was going around of the whole crowd there. And then just imagining how hot it was and how many people there it was. And what a true religious experience I bet it was. So yeah, what a great set list. 28 songs total. Roger was wearing his cool new flowery shirt that I'm not sure I got to mention on the last batch. Cool to see a change-up look from the standard black shirts there. And yeah, everybody was just looking good and sounding good. Very cool on the set list front of getting our first change-up of the opening and closing songs of the main act. So a bummer you didn't get to hear Alone and End Song. But at this point, you know, you've heard them a bunch with the last tour and stuff. So Plain Song and Disintegration, always welcomed. So that was very cool. And a lot of the songs, no tour debut songs, but all the alternate ones that had been getting sprinkled in as big surprises in the shows leading up to this, like Secrets and In Your House. So getting both those in the main set and Treasure in there too. And Prayers for Rain, of course, as Allison said, into Disintegration. So that's pretty rad. And, you know, the majority of the pop encore stuck there and swapping out Mick Carr for Hot, 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 because, as he said, had to play that. So it looked like when you look at it, yeah, that was the one that they would swap in for that. So yeah, you had to lose one. So that's probably a fair trade, I'd say. So very cool, great set list. One that you could listen back to that, you know, over and over and be super happy with all of those in there. So very exciting to see what's around the corner. We have 2 Ireland shows coming up this weekend. Again, these are going to be standalone shows, not official festivals. So very cool. Maybe we'll get something similar to this or a completely different mix and match of songs. Can't wait. Hopefully the weather is going to cool off a bit and give these guys a break there up in Ireland. And yeah, it's bound to be cool as hell. So I can't wait to see what happens. Allison's going to that one too, so maybe we'll hear back again from her on that one. I got a lovely email from Colleen, who's going to be hitting up a bunch of these shows too, and offered up some correspondence help, so it'll be lovely to hear back from Colleen. No pressure, of course, but I hope she's already having a blast over there in Europe, and I believe we'll be at the Ireland shows for her first batch of Cure festivals here. So looking forward to that, and we'll have some good reporting back for you guys, hopefully. And Tom Burns is going to hit up the Manchester and Edinburgh ones at the end of the tour there too, and hoping to have him on to discuss all 3 shows in a full conversation. So that's my plans out loud to you guys. And otherwise, we'll keep these little quickie reviews coming for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you are enjoying these shows, even from afar, as much as I am. And yeah, I can't wait to see what they come up with next. As we wind down here, I'd love to give a couple quick shout outs. Firstly, to our boy JC. Thank you. In the last episode, I had been rambling about getting a new old copy of Boys Don't Cry on vinyl. And I was confused why Jumping Someone Else's Train was the lead-off track and not Boys Don't Cry, much like my tape and my CD. And he informed me that the original tape and vinyl of Boys Don't Cry, Pyramid, Palm Trees, the works, did in fact lead off with Jumping Someone Else's Train, and it was the reissue or repressings that happened around 1986 where they switched Boys Don't Cry to the lead-off track, which would make sense why my tape leads off with Boys Don't Cry, because I got it around 87, 88. So Totally makes sense. CDs, of course, were post 86, so that one's going to lead off with Boys Don't Cry too. So very logical. Thank you very much, JC, for clearing that up for me at least, and if any of you were still wondering from last episode. And I'd like to shout out Amber and Jason over at the Old London Road Soccer Bar here in Asheville. So I ran into her literally when I was jogging at the park the other week, and she had pulled up there and noticed my Cure stickers on the car and gave me a quick shout as I was coming up to the car saying, "Hey, like your Cure stickers." And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, thanks." And she showed me her arm, and she has the Boys Don't Cry silhouette tattoo on it. And I was like, hell yeah. And she mentioned that she's going to go see them in Manchester and Edinburgh and at the end of August, I guess it is. And I was like, holy shit, that's great. Yeah, I got a podcast I do about the Cure. And then she started talking about a bar, the soccer bar. And I was like, oh yeah, I haven't been there yet, and I want to check it out. It looks awesome. But I figured during World Cup is probably not the time to go if you're not crazy about soccer. I just want to go for the bar aspect. And she was like, yeah, we got a picture of Robert and the guy from Big Country, in the soccer uniform behind the bar and everything. I was like, holy shit, that sounds great. And I was like, so yeah, you're talking about this bar a lot. Do you hang out there a lot? And she's like, no, I own it. And I was like, oh shit, okay, so even cooler. So Cure fan owned bar is all I need. And sure enough, we went there on Father's Day after Raiders of the Lost Ark and had a couple drinks. She wasn't there that day, but I met her husband. Also had a good Cure chat. Henson and I had our shirts on, of course. So we just started talking about their upcoming trip and how awesome it's going to be. And yeah, it's an awesome bar. So if you're ever in the Asheville area and love football and the Cure, of course, come have a drink with me down at Old London Road down in the River Arts district of Asheville. And hope to check back in with them after the show and hear how their experiences go at the end of August. All right, guys, let's wrap this up with a shout out to our Patreon crew. Go ahead and head on over to patreon.com/The Holy Hour Podcast if you would be so kind or to even be curious to support our podcast here and become a member like Craig and Jeff Hilton and Amber. And extra special shout out to Allison and Tom Burns, who are also members. John Roberts, Colin, Craig Hogan, Jeff Cortland Jones, Donna, Sue, John Forrester, Dion Lamicio, Matt Ford, Letty, Tony, Ben, Coulter, Tom Johnson, Francisco, Arno, Chip, Nicholas, Shirley, Mara, Caroline, Brian, Sean, Jennifer, Pete Roberts, Nicole, John Richter, Paula, and our latest member, Andreas, plus Kate over at CureThreads.com, who is hitting up those Ireland shows. Hope she has a blast, and we get to hear how her experience goes at some point, too. Check out Cure Arts Collab on Instagram as well, where you can find all kinds of cool Cure-inspired art by Cure fans like you. Scott Kruger is co-host of the Sarlacc Digest, the best Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. You can catch their live shows every Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube and Facebook. And David, who runs The Obsessive Geek on Etsy, where you can find Cure-related shopping ideas like 3D printed recreations of Cure album covers. Again, that's on Etsy at The Obsessive Geek. Dana is a freelance animation, illustration, and motion graphics designer and welcoming new projects and commissions, so check out her work at graphics.tv. That's graphics with an X.tv. And Tanya, who would love to shout out 988lifeline.org, the suicide and crisis hotline with over 200 crisis call centers located all over the U.S., available 24/7 and offering free and confidential support for people in distress. And of course, Lisa, who recommends Dickens, the coolest venue in Calgary, Canada. You can check out their upcoming shows at dickensyyc.com. And of course, good old Chaz's other podcast, James Dobson's Bastard Kids, where each week he and Chrissy take a deep dive into the evangelical church. It does look like he has some potential buyers there for his Cure collection, so thank you so much to everybody that helped share and bring awareness to that post. No reflection of his Cure love, of course. It breaks his heart to have to let him go too, but sometimes duty calls and you need that cash. So also a good reminder that we're all sitting on varying degrees of a gold mine with our Cure collections, but wishing him all the best with that, and thank you for your support. And that should do it for us here, guys. We're gonna go onward to Ireland and see what happens in Dublin and Belfast, and hopefully have some good scoop for you soon. All right, you guys take it easy out there. Be safe if you're traveling, and talk hard.